Okay, so, hello, this is Aly Roy.
I'm Ali.
He was my personal trainer, and he's been in the supplement business for a very long time. How long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing personal training for over 15 years, and I've been in supplements as far as selling them, working at Popeyes about 3.5 years. But I was educated on supplements before that as well. Just now I'm more involved.
All right, thank you. So you mentioned that you're a personal trainer. What's your background in fitness? Where did you, get your start?
So for myself, when I was young, I was quite overweight. So I started going to the gym and fell in love with it. Loved working out. It was a lot of fun. The community there and everything else. And then as I kept going later on in life, I had a few different jobs. I didn't really like them that much. I did them because I needed a paycheck, obviously. And then as a present at Christmas, I got my personal trainer. And then from there, Good Life approached me and hired me as a trainer. And that's where it all started.
All right. How long would you say you've been working out for?
I've been working out since I was about 14 years old. So, damn, I'm old. 22 years.
Wow. Okay. Getting into the questions about, the supplements,
Yep.
I just want to ask, do you see more of a casual beginner sort of gym rat vibe coming in here, or do you get more professional lifters and people who take it more seriously?
Honestly, we get everybody. We get a lot of people that are starting up. When they get a coach, for example, they get nutrition coach. A lot of the time that comes with the supplements that they'll need to take. People think about supplements and they always think like gym, they think protein powders, trying to get big muscle. Supplements are a lot more than that. The variety is a lot bigger. With some of the clientele that we have here, we've helped people that have high blood pressure, we've helped with people that have diabetes, we've helped with all kinds of different illnesses, and it doesn't mean that these people are going to the gym, they're just taking products that are helping them with lowering the blood sugar or whatever it is to help themselves out and just feel better.
All right. What do you think people buy here the most? And do you think whatever that is, do you think it works? Do you think it's worthwhile?
Yeah, absolutely. So the most popular product, I would have to say, is probably going to be protein powder. That's going to be one of the biggest ones. Contrary to popular belief, protein powder is not just bought by people that go to the gym. Having a high amount of protein in your diet is a very healthy thing to do. It's going to be good for reducing fat mass, making sure that you're retaining your muscle mass, and just overall good hormone balancing and things like that. So we have anywheres from moms and dads to those gym rats and the professionals that are coming in and getting tubs of protein.
All right. What is your opinion on pre-workout that includes caffeine?
Pre-workout with caffeine is a tool. A lot of people abuse that tool. It's the same idea as anything else. In moderation, anything can be okay and anything can be healthy. How to use it, what you're using it for, and understanding what it does is something that we face a lot here, because people will come in and ask for certain products and they don't necessarily know how to use those products. They just heard on TikTok or on Instagram, hey, this is the best pre-workout, so they come in and take that. A big part of what we try to do here is educate people on what they're taking and why they're taking it. Not every pre-workout is the same, caffeine or no caffeine, so stimulants or no stim. And as far as my opinion, if it's not needed, I would actually avoid it, because it isn't going to give you a hand in putting extra caffeine into your body. But we do have stimulant-free options, which is where we try to guide people to.
All right. What would you recommend supplement-wise for someone who's just, starting out their fitness journey?
A basic supplement, what we call a stack, which is your starter stack. The main supplements that I would recommend are going to be a good multivitamin is always recommended. That I would recommend to anybody going or not going to the gym. A lot of the time I ask people, where do you get, your zinc? Where do you get your magnesium? And people have no answer for this because they're not getting it. After that, protein powder is usually a really good one, because it is hard to eat the amount of protein that you need in your day. It's just not something that we're used to doing. And lastly, for myself, I'm a big fan of greens, veggie green powder, again, to just make sure that you get all your micronutrients, so all those vitamin and minerals that you're missing out on the different vegetables that you don't eat. a lot of people come in and they talk about eating, oh, I eat veggies every day. Great, but if you only eat carrots and broccoli, that's fantastic, but that's not touching the spectrum of vitamin and minerals that you would need in your diet just to have a healthy, balanced diet.
Yeah. Would you say that it's better to get your vitamins, your micronutrients, even your macros from, like the real foods rather than the supplements?
So this is a very, very debated topic. At the end of the day, I do believe in whole foods over supplements. The problem is that I have never met a person who's been able to get everything they need from whole foods. For you to get, let's say, 500 milligrams of magnesium, okay, are you going to eat 40 heads of broccoli a day? I don't think it's going to happen. So supplements are kind of a thing that I would see as essential now in the world that we live in. The quality of our food has diminished and the pricing on our food has gone up in a crazy way. So to be more affordable and to actually have a proper diet, I would say that supplements are essential. But at the end of the day, no, I would say whole foods is always what I lean towards.
Okay. Moving on here. Are there any supplements that you would say are better for bulking or better for cutting?
Absolutely. Different supplements are going to have different functions in the body. So we have good supplements like L-carnitine. That's something that helps the metabolism want to burn adipose tissue, so it's going to want to help you burn fat. Great for cutting.
What's it called, sorry?
That would be L-carnitine.
L-carnitine. Okay.
After that, if you want an example on a great supplement for bulking, we could go to the protein powders, but we have different types of protein powders. So we have protein powders where if you're having trouble bulking because you can't get enough calories in, we have protein powders that are full of extra calories from good sourced carbohydrates that will help you in just attaining that calorie goal every day to stay in that surplus. So there are different supplements that are suitable for different goals.
Okay. Are there any supplements you would say that are probably overrated or like that you wouldn't recommend?
There's nothing that I wouldn't recommend. There's just the effectiveness. It depends how deep you want to get into supplements. If you have bottomless pockets, you've got a big budget, and you want to get everything you possibly can, then there's always things that are going to help and more that you can get. Whether or not you need those things is another story. To achieve the attainable goals that people set, or the realistic goals that people set, there are some supplements that aren't needed. If you want them, they won't hurt you. They may help you a little bit. So I find it's all on a level of what is more effective to less effective depending on the goal.
Okay. Does stacking different supplements lead to better results, do you think?
It definitely can. I do it myself, and for the most part, people that are going to take supplements usually do as well. A lot of the time, if you have a young kid that comes in that's only heard about pre-workout, this kid doesn't care about multivitamins. So a lot of the times for us to be able to educate them, we have to relate some of these other supplements that might be even more beneficial than something like a pre-workout, for example, to your goal. And then they may decide that they want to try that as well. But, sometimes they don't.
Okay. How effective would you say that most supplements are in, increasing your fitness and getting you to whatever goal you want to do?
There's multiple ways that supplements are going to work for somebody. I know that I've had a few clients myself that when they buy themselves, for example, a fat burner like L-carnitine, all of a sudden they put a little more effort forward because they have the placebo effect of believing that, I'm taking this, so it's going to do this and it's going to do that. And as they work harder, it does help them to attain their goal. Whether or not it was all the supplement or their extra effort because of the supplement they were taking, that's a whole different story, right? After that, like I said, supplements I do find help in whatever categories, as long as you're willing to put in the work that goes with the supplement. The big example there, I've also known people to take a fat burner but eat at McDonald's. You can't do both and expect to get the results. Just because you're taking a fat burner doesn't mean McDonald's won't make you gain bad weight.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just gonna. So you must work out with that. There we go.
Yeah, and follow the diet as well. The diet is going to be the most important part, obviously, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the next question was actually about placebo effect, so you kind of covered it, so don't have to ask that one. Next one, though, I want to say, are there any health risks with creatine or those fat burners or another one, SARMs, I heard of?
Yep. So SARMs is something that we don't sell here at Popeyes. They are in a gray area when it comes to the legality of it. There are definitely drawbacks to doing things like that. As far as the creatine goes, no, creatine is healthy, again, as long as used properly. If you're going to triple up on your creatine dose because you think it's going to get you your results faster, there could be adverse effects. It could be something that becomes hard on your kidneys or on your liver. But that's only in the effect of taking way too much. Proper amounts of creatine, most people are getting creatine in their day-to-day lives. You can find creatine in dairy, you can find it in some nuts, and you can definitely find it in meat. So if you're doing those things, you're already having creatine. A big thing I talk about with supplements is that, for example, at the Popeyes Moncton location where I work, there's nothing here that'll harm you more than McDonald's will. The only true potential is with the caffeinated products, and people that take too much caffeine every day. It's hard on the body, it's hard on the heart. Again, in moderation, everything is okay. But as I said earlier, if somebody comes in for a pre-workout and they're willing to go with a stimulant-free pre-workout, that's something that I would recommend over having that extra caffeine intake.
Have there ever been any supplements that you've had to stop selling here, whether it be because a law says you can't, or no one was buying it, or anything like that?
We definitely have products that come in that just don't correlate with our market. Some people that don't like the products. So we have things that end up sitting. Sometimes it's meal prep items. Sometimes protein bars is a big one because it's flavor. You want it to taste good. So if a company puts a protein bar out, we bring it in the store and nobody wants to buy it, we will delist it and stop selling it because it's not something that people want. By law, the only one would be ephedrine. Ephedrine is something that used to be legal, and a few months ago that got taken off the shelf. Otherwise, we just follow the FDA. We follow what Canada guidelines are for what we're allowed to have in our supplements, and yeah, that's it.
Is that how you spell that?
Close enough.
Okay. Do certain people have bad reactions to some of these supplements?
Depending. I mean, you could have an allergic reaction to different things. It's very rare. The biggest reactions that we'll get is depending on the type of protein powder, for example, that somebody will take. Sometimes it can upset their stomach, so we have to find a better quality protein powder. We get a lot of people that come in that'll go and buy their protein at Walmart, Costco, places like that, and that they don't get a quality product. When that happens and they have indigestion, they come in, they tell us, my protein's making me bloat, my bowel movements aren't great. So a lot of the time it's figuring out why that's happening with their body and then going from there to find a product that'll suit their needs.
Okay. Now we're going to get into questions kind of about anabolic steroids.
Yep.
First question I want to ask is kind of what's the view of anabolic steroids in the gym community?
It all depends. It's somewhat torn. Now it's become a lot more accepted with social media and a lot of the influencers coming out and being honest about being on steroids. The big thing about steroids, I would say, is that it all depends on what your goals are. A lot of people now, more and more, are taking them recreationally. I've never seen such a young population going after steroids, which is something that is unfortunate, something that can definitely mess up a lot of plans in their future, for the boys that want to have kids, for the girls that just want to have proper hormone balancing. There's a lot of things that a lot of people now they're diving in head first, and they don't do the research. They don't understand, again, the correlation between what you're doing, how much is proper, how much isn't proper. But in general, steroids have become the most prevalent they've ever been.
Okay. Has anyone used steroids, and if so, did you notice any changes in their behavior or just their demeanor?
Okay. Yes, I have lots of people that I know that use steroids. We have lots of customers here. The demeanor, the behavior, for the most part, doesn't change. Steroids is something that, for the most part, makes you more of who you already are. So if before you did steroids, you had anger issues. Well, on steroids, you'll have more anger issues. If you were a happy person, you'll probably stay a happy person. As far as the kind of call it the myth of roid rage, it isn't a myth more than it's something that happens to maybe 1 out of 100,000 people. And it's not just instant. You don't Hulk out. It's not exactly like that. So it's kind of hard to say, how many people get affected in a very negative way. Basic side effects of steroids are going to be acne, testicular shrinkage. For some people, very rare again, we've seen cases of depression. But for the most part, actually, a lot of people that will go to the doctor, for example, because they are depressed, will be given testosterone, and it actually helps them. So it's something where I think it's on a case-to-case basis what the adverse effects can be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How effective would you say anabolic steroids are in, getting you to whatever your fitness goal is?
The effectiveness of steroids is very high. It's very good, and it's one of the reasons that they're so prevalent. People love it, but it's what you're sacrificing to get what you want. To me, in my opinion, for every year that you're taking steroids, you're probably taking a year off of your life at the end of it, right? Depending on how you're using and what you're using. There are so many different types of steroids, and for example, SARMs that you suggested or talked about earlier, those are brand new. And one of the scary things about that is that we don't know the long-term effects of what these SARMs are, but they're being made readily available, and it's something where, because there's a lack of research done on them, it's a bit worrisome what is going to happen to some of the people that are using them and, of course, abusing them now.
Do you know of any different types of steroids? Is there a lot of different varieties, or is it?
Absolutely. There's a huge variety as far as things that you can take as a pill. There's liquids that you can take drops, and then you've got injections, and then from that, there are different types from there. So you have steroids to help you with building muscle. You have steroids to help you lose fat. You've got there's everything in, out, and around that you can have a specific product. You also have to understand steroids, for the most part, a lot of it comes from medicine, but at the same time, there are steroids now that have been developed by, we'll say, like Germany, developed a steroid just to help their athletes with competing at the Olympics and competing in different competitions. So these are things that aren't stopping, and these are things that some people are still researching a lot to try to develop something new and something different.
Okay. So I think only a couple more questions about these. I just want to ask, what's your personal stance on steroids?
My personal stance on steroid is that for recreational use, if it's not needed, I highly recommend that you don't take it. Stay away from it. If somebody is going to decide to take steroids, do the research, understand what you're doing and what you're doing to yourself. I kind of have a philosophy where if somebody is having a hard time in, let's say, losing weight, they've tried a bunch of things, but they can't get there, then I'm happy to help them in educating them on how to do that better. If they decide later on that they want to do steroids to help themselves out, that's up to them. But if I have somebody that comes in that wants to whine about being overweight and being in pain, but they also want to eat a Big Mac at McDonald's twice a day every day, I don't have much sympathy for those people, right? So my big thing is that if you know what you're doing, you understand the risk, you understand what's going to happen, then I'm not fully against it. I wouldn't say I'm fully for it. I would just say at least you've done the research, you understand what you're doing. But that's where my personal stance is, that I find kids, especially now, the youth of today, that are getting influenced by social media and by the influencers that are taking steroids, that's where I find it's unfortunate, and they shouldn't be.
Okay. I was going to ask what are some of the risks and complications, but you kind of already covered that. You said it takes a year off your life. That's good. So kind of getting out of the steroid talk now. So do you think some people have unrealistic expectations for what supplements can do for them?
Yes, 100% they do, because most of these supplement companies that have ambassadors and have athletes are not natural. They're on steroids, but they're going to say that these supplements help them with achieving the physique that they have, yet the physique they have is not a realistic physique without something like steroids. So that's where a lot of the times you have to understand what the supplement can do and that it'll take time to do it. But again, that's doing your research.
Do you have any funny stories just from when you're working here about, people maybe misunderstanding or?
Yeah, all kinds. So one of the popular ones, we've had this happen a few times. We have people that come in and they get, like I was talking about earlier, the protein that is full of calories. We call it a mass gainer. So a gainer protein to help you gain weight. I've had clients come in and buy a bag of mass gainer protein powder, come back a month later and want to return it when it's half empty. And when I ask why they want to return it, they say, well, it didn't work. I didn't gain any weight. So then you have to educate on, I'm looking at them like, well, were you at a calorie surplus? I don't know. Well, what did you eat in your day? Well, I didn't eat. I just took the mass gainer. Well, the mass gainer is only 500 calories. So even if you do that twice a day at 1,000 calories, you're at 150 pounds and you're trying to go up in weight. 1,000 calories is not going to help you. So that one was, it happens more often than you'd think, but it's something that happens a lot. And that's a funny one. Otherwise, we've had people come in with just ridiculous stories of taking way too much pre-workout and thinking they were having a heart attack. They ended up in the hospital and the doctor just told them that they just had an abundance of caffeine, so they weren't having a heart attack. It's kind of funny. It's not that funny because it's a risk. That's a hazard. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for the body to have that much caffeine. So, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, ignoring those people, do you think generally nowadays people are more educated on supplements and their effects?
They're starting. The main reason I would say, though, is because those people are the people that have hired a nutrition coach or a trainer to help them understand supplements and understand what they're taking, why they're taking it, and even the timing. Best example, vitamin D3. People take vitamin D3, they know it's good for them. That's fantastic. Well, did you know that if you take your vitamin D3 without fats, it's not going to absorb in the body because it's fat soluble? Most people don't know that. Then D3 needs to be taken with vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 helps to shuttle D3 where it needs to go in the body so that, again, the effectiveness can be there. So a lot of the time, those are the kind of things that people know D3 is good. People know that they need protein powder, but they don't understand how much they need or why they need it. So the education is getting better, but it's still not at a level where people are still able to come in and actually know everything about what they're going to be buying, which is where my job comes in, trying to educate them and making them understand a little bit better why they're taking their supplements and how to take their supplements.
Yeah. So I think this is my last question.
Yep.
Just want to ask, do you think media or like social media influencers are influencing the way people buy supplements?
100%. Yeah. Companies wouldn't spend so much money on them if they didn't. So when you see a famous name, if Ronnie Coleman's the best example. Ronnie Coleman won Mr. Olympia, I think 8 times. And yeah, he made, he probably made a couple $100,000, and then with all his 8 championships, he probably made in a few millions. Ronnie Coleman's worth a lot more, not because he won Mr. Olympia, because he started his own supplement brand, right? And everybody buys that supplement brand because of his name, because of who he was, the physique that he had, things like that. So it's the same thing with Jay Cutler. He's got Cutler Nutrition. Rich Piana, huge example. That guy was on all kinds of steroids, but he was one of the first ones to break that kind of barrier where he was upfront about it. He talked about it. He started off being a sponsored athlete by Mutant, which was a company, and left them to create his own company that is still going strong today, about 7 years after he's passed away.
Yeah.
So definitely a huge influence on what you're going to buy and how much you're going to take of it, things like that.
All right.
Yeah.
That's all I had for you today. Thank you for your time.
No problemo, my friend.
All right. I'm gonna stop